Take your stinking microphones off me, you damn dirty podcaster. Planet of the Apes. It's coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tevenet. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time. And today that is Tommy and kind of myself. I remember watching this as a kid, original
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. But first, before we get into that, I have to commend you. I feel like in 2024, have stepped your game up in the intro cringe of like forcing a podcast pun at the
Yeah.
start of it. Like you
Yeah.
have forced your way into that so
Well,
smoothly. Yeah,
yeah.
you've exceeded to this level of like cringe that just kind of crawls up my butthole a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No,
And
I know how to get underneath your skin.
well, it's not under my skin, it's the audience's skin. That's my perspective the whole time while I'm listening to that. Because I don't hear it beforehand. Tommy just goes, I got an idea, guys. And I'm like, oh, God.
I mean, you could
And
probably guess which one I was going to do this time. Either that or you maniacs who blew up. God damn you, all you podcasters to hell.
yeah, it was one or the two. See, look at you. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're growing. You're growing. I'm so proud of you, Tommy. But yeah, Planet of the Apes, the OG, the 1968 film with Charlton Heston. Uh, quite a film if you have
Mm.
never seen it. Tommy, just initial basic thoughts. We'll dive into it later.
Yeah, so before we dive deeper, I loved this movie. I was not expecting to love it. I thought that this was going to age pretty poorly. I thought the ape costumes were going to be like pretty shitty. I think they kind of aged in a charming way of like that old like 1960s sci-fi way. And overall, I found this movie just really riveting. So it was a real surprise. I thought this was going to be like it's good for I understand historical significance, but this movie kind of fucking sucks. But that's not what I had at all. I instead
Mm,
just like complete
No, this
180.
no, this movie rocks actually.
Yeah.
Well, and like I feel like the costumes of it's like a charm because, and I think
Mhm.
it works in the film's advantage because it's called Planet of the Apes, and like
Mhm.
the whole misdirect of the movie, the way it's set is they're on a space voyage, like they've been traveling for 6 months, but it's light years ahead, so they go into hibernation. It's been like another 1,000 years, and they crash land back on Earth, but they don't realize that. They don't realize they're on planet Earth, and like that's the whole reveal and the twist at the end of the movie.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that
It,
works so well if you like imagine being an audience, excuse me, in 1968, like
you're
getting
Don
read
Draper. Watch this movie for your son.
the son, yeah, just smoking a cigarette, just
Taking it in cinema. This is a movie kind of like Sixth Sense, where like I thought the Sixth Sense was gonna be like not worth watching because I knew the twist, and I knew the twist of this movie. But just like my experience with Sixth Sense, I was like, oh, this movie's way more than just its twist. It's
yeah.
actually like incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it has its political messaging in there that it kind of follows the Star Trek formula of, all right, what Gene Roddenberry always said. It's like, hey, current political issues, set them now, they'll never put it out. Set it 1,000 years in the future with different aliens, and you can communicate it. And it definitely, that's not prevailing, but there's definitely underlying messages of it there in terms of how you treat others. But I mean, the costumes, like it works, especially if you're coming into it being like, this is a different planet. So this is just like a different species of apes, right? And it's also apes evolved and they can speak. Like, there's definitely a charm to this versus one of the movies we're going to cover at the top that we both saw, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the newly
So
released film.
yeah, my initial thoughts. I've been actually rewatching majority of the new rebooted Planet of the Apes movies. I watched Rise for the first time since theaters this week. I watched Dawn for the first time in a while, and for some reason those movies didn't really connect with me at first. I kind of thought that they were just like a little cheesy, or like especially with Rise, I was like, this is like those generic shit. And something of King of the Planet of the Apes, I think that the time jump that they did, like 300 years into the future, kind of unlocked something with me in this franchise of the new Planet of the Apes movies. I found this movie kind of riveting. I like the different, like, I saw this movie about like 3 weeks ago, and I'm still just like thinking of like how great like the main villain character is, and how William H. Macy popping up was a great Proxima Caesar was a great antagonist right here. And I thought that the whole setting and just the whole aesthetic of going through abandoned cities was just great for this movie. I really liked that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think I liked that it at least went in with a level of respect for the audience's intelligence.
Mm.
I so for context, I have not seen any of the so I saw the original Planet of the Apes when I was like a kid. Like I just distinctly remember watching the scene of Earth like and him pounding at the end. Like it just
Mm.
sits vividly in my mind. I just remember watching the movie, but like didn't remember anything because I was probably like 6 or 7 when I saw it.
Yeah.
Nice mute, Tommy. Tommy was just throwing a water bottle, so he muted. He's
Yeah.
becoming a pro. He's a pro over there.
Pro
And
podcaster.
pro podcaster. And then I remember my dad taking me to go see Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, the 2001 film with Mark Wahlberg, which was not good then, and from all accounts, it's not good now.
That's a Tim Burton movie we'll not be covering on the podcast, more than likely.
You say that,
Because
but this podcast goes on long enough, and we're like at the
we're like, oh
combs.
fuck, what else do we have? We got
What
shit. I
else?
guess Tim Burton.
Planet of
Tom,
the
you've
Apes.
never seen it.
Planet of the Apes 10's coming out.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see any of the rebooted Planet of the Apes. So I didn't see Dawn, I didn't see Rise, I didn't see this or
I could have sworn we saw War together.
Nope.
Damn.
Nope.
I could have sworn that was with you.
Nope. Definitely not with me. So I knew we were covering Planet of the Apes. I was like, let me go into Kingdom. Like it's a reboot. Or I guess a continuation of the story. I guess it's like
It's kind of like a standalone sequel in its own way, where like
yeah, it was like let's take the Planet of the Apes world and let's continuation of the events, but not have the same cast. Like let's do our own thing.
Hmm.
I thought the first hour was a little slow. I was getting a little sleepy in my chair, my movie theater, my recliner. I wanted to go take a nap during the beginning. You know, it's nice and relaxing. And like I imagine if I was like a little more invested in the franchise of Planet of the Apes, it would be cool because it's just they're having bird day and they're chasing birds or whatever. They're getting eggs so they can have their eagle partner or whatever, which then thematically ties in later. And but once it gets going, it was good. I feel like 20th Century treats like I wish like all other movie franchises would learn from Planet of the Apes of being like when did the last one come out? 2017?
Yeah, so that's about 7 years ago now at this point.
7 years, like that's a nice gap.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at the big, you know who we're not saying names, but you know who I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Like get like the big one that had that movie in 2019 that was the end of End. Imagine if they just took 5 years off, like nothing, just radio silence, and then they come out with something new.
Yeah, then
Like,
that would have a great aspect.
People would be like pumped.
What
And like I feel like this had that. Planet of the Apes, I feel like has always had consistent fans. I feel like film fans like it. I feel like just they're a mark of good movies. Like I feel like with the price of movies increasing, like people want to go for a good movie. Like they don't want to go for a bad movie.
Yeah. And it becomes more of an event, and like people were saying how like Star Wars used to be like this, and like how like like you're talking about the big M, Marvel used to be like this.
Not
But
mentioning any names.
yeah. But one thing I did like about the sequel, and I thought that was an interesting way to approach a sequel, was that it became a movie about the mythology of the first three movies, where it pretty much became a commentary on religion, of how like people like will take religion and twist the words of the Jesus or whoever to fit their own means and to meet the means. With Caesar being like the Jesus Christ like figure within this franchise, and I did find that an interesting way to unlock this movie.
I like knew that he was the main monkey,
Mhm.
right? It was Andy Serkis,
Yeah.
as Caesar. I knew he was the main guy. Excuse me. I had never, I just never saw any of them. So I feel like a little bit of that was like lost on me, but I also felt like it was nice because it like kind of refreshed what happened in the last couple of ones of like who Caesar was and what his teachings were. And for me, it
Mm.
was kind of like, well, I don't really, I mean, I think he was the good guy in those movies. So like, I'm kind of hoping that he's more on the Jesus side of things and not on like the Hitler side of things, like the other guy.
Yeah.
And, it was good. Got to the ending. The CG looked great. And I feel like they filmed, it looked like they filmed a lot of practical and then added the monkeys into it. It was a nice way to just
So
blend your
what?
effects together. You
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about. We say that a lot on this podcast of like if you put your
Yeah.
CG and your practical deceives the eye.
One last thought that I love that they're doing this for the home video release. They're making a cut of this movie that's going to be all the actors that play the apes before they took put the CGI motion capture
So
shit
it's
over
just
them.
it's just them doing the scenes in mocap.
Yeah, it's just the actors doing the scenes of mocap and shit like
That's
that.
actually
And
that's such a good
yeah,
idea to get someone to buy your DVD.
yeah, I want to see that. That sounds fucking hilarious. Of just like Kevin Durant, Owen Teague, and the other actors just like acting like monkeys, but like they're clearly humans. Like the weird disconnect right there.
Yeah, it's so because like they do a lot of like they take human things and monkeyfy them a little bit, like right, like the pressing of the heads together. I feel like was
Mm,
their cordial warmth of others, a kiss, if you will.
mm.
Compared to that was the one thing that was always really goofy to me in this one, man. When in the old
Oh, when
one,
they try to kiss,
when they
yeah, in the
kiss and it's
original,
just
yeah,
like whoa, whoa, it's just like two rubber ends
quick,
smacking
yeah,
together like quickly.
yeah,
It's so ridiculous. Dude, it's actually ridiculous.
yeah,
Not immersive breaking, but just like, oh, that's goofy. That's
yeah.
goofy. That they wouldn't put that in a movie today. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes enough so that I'd probably go see the next one. Maybe I'll even get through to the original. I was like looking for them. I couldn't find them. Well, I
They're
wanted to start with Dawn. Dawn was only on Hulu, and then the other two were on Max. And I was like, why are you separated? Why do you only
no,
have
actually,
two?
they're all on Hulu now because I watched Rise last week on Hulu. I watched Dawn this week on Hulu, and then Wars on Hulu too. So Rise, it's the confusing thing. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the first one of this new rebooted trilogy. Then it's
Oh,
Dawn. Then it's
Rise was the
War.
one I was looking. Yeah, I get they're just keeping in line with like the sequels that they've done, right? Like
Yeah,
all the other Planet of the Apes movies have like all the sequels are like I started beneath the Planet of the Apes.
yeah. Beneath Escape, Conquest, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
they just pumped those things out, man, in the late 60s, early 70s. They had five of those things in like 5 years. Like they were just
yeah,
all right, this one's done. Somebody edit it. Like they
yeah.
were just pumping those bad boys out. Another movie I saw in theaters, Fall Guy, the Fall Guy, whichever the one with the
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling.
Gosling. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was cute. It was fine. It's an action movie based on an action stunt guy, and the producer brings this guy back after an accident. He gets the he's like missing because he's in trouble with drugs, and there's a whole mystery to that, and like that's the plot of the movie. So they plot, the action's great. That's what
mm,
matters. Like if you really dig into the Fall Guys like character motivations and plots, it's not razor thick, but like it doesn't really need to be that. Like the plots are fun. Emily Blunt and Gosling had great um, chemistry
mm.
together. My biggest complaint, the audio mix was horrendous. Horrendous. Oh my
Do you think
God.
that was a issue of like your theater specifically, or do you think that was an issue with the movie?
I think that was an issue with the movie. You could barely, I got like three-quarters of the dialogue. Like it sounded so muffled.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot
Um,
of them are like they're trying to be like, no, we're natural auteur cinema. So we didn't do any ADR on the film. It's like, no, ADR is bad when it's like you're trying to like change someone's lines, but ADR is very good when the
you,
audio doesn't sound good and
mm,
you bring an actor into the studio and they time the sound out exactly how they said it on the set.
mm.
Like they repeat the performance and then you put that actual sound in the movie. That's how that works.
So this is actually something that's kind of interesting because the whole discourse of this movie on like film Twitter and all that bullshit is that this movie did not do too well on the box office.
Yeah.
It's currently bombing. It hasn't really made back its budget, and
Well,
this
it's
movie,
at it's been out 2 weeks. It's at $130 million. I feel like that's like it had $140 million budget. Like, okay, that's not terrible.
yeah, people are acting like it's like the death of cinema and the death of like the theatrical experience. And it's like no, at the end of the day, I mean, like I still haven't seen this movie. I don't know if I'm going to. For me personally, I mean, like I don't know.
It's
It
worth a
looks like
watch if you
yeah,
if you get a
it didn't.
$5 AMC Tuesday, like highly recommend it.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like a movie. I was like, I need to go out and see this. I mean, there's been other movies that have been on the top of my priority list for me, mostly horror and stuff like that. But for me, I was like, yeah, I know, shocker.
Oh,
For me,
wait,
it just
I
seemed
need
like,
to I need to tell you something hilarious here. I
yeah,
meant to tell you this off the top, but we're gonna just go into this. I was talking with my mom earlier, and I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, we're recording Planet of the Apes." She's like, "I don't know if I'll listen to that one. I don't like that one." And just this is just the way she said it. And I just have to put this in there. My mom like hates horror movies and like bloody movies. Like she doesn't like
yeah,
The Godfather because it's
yeah,
sacrilegious. Like I just need to contextualize like her favorite movie is like Moonstruck. You know, she likes
yeah,
National Treasure. Like those are the movies she likes.
yeah.
She was like, she just said it. She just said it so nonchalant. She's just like, Tommy just likes all these horrible movies. You picks all these horrible movies for the podcast. I can't listen to them. I don't want to hear about the blood. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it was so funny.
Yeah,
In
you're
an
just like,
insulting way. She just meant it in like she would just rather not spend the time watching like The Exorcist or name your horror movie that we've covered on this podcast.
yeah,
The Evil Dead 20, what was it? The 2013 Evil Dead.
13.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
oh
that'd be a
God.
terrible movie for your mom. I would not recommend that.
Gross. Um, but dude, like she just said it so nonchalantly, and I was just
Just
like,
like, oh, all
I
this
need
bloody shit.
I was like, I need you to record. I need that recorded so I can have that as a sound drop when you do end up picking a movie that I just dislike, and I could just be like, that movie Tommy picked, just horrible, just horrible.
That's amazing.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had to throw
What
that
can I
one in
say?
there.
What can I say? I mean, like, look right behind me on camera is like a bunch of horror movie posters that your mom would probably all hate.
Probably.
Yeah, but with the Fall Guy in general, this is a movie like I felt personally, I was like, I can just wait until like streaming for something like that or whatever.
But
It
then it
doesn't
came out
seem.
2 weeks later. Like
Yeah,
here's the
now
thing:
it's on streaming. It's like,
if it had a month rotation, you have Memorial Day weekend coming up.
well, like
You're,
think about
you're
when we were kids. When we were kids, it was like 6 months essentially. Like I
it's
remember,
not
like
6 months. It depended on the movie. Like your
yeah,
big boys got 6 months, but you had 2 months at least.
mm,
They didn't they pulled the trigger really quick on the are you saying the gap between theater and home release?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It was usually 6 months to a year. I think it depended on the movie itself. So like I remember Elf came out like November 2002, whatever it was. And then the following year they released the DVD in like November because it's a holiday movie, so that makes sense. I
yeah.
remember the Lord of the Rings were similar in that like release cycle, but it was usually 6 months. Most movies had like a 2 to 3 month window, like
I
a
remember like
one.
Toy Story 2 came out in November of like 99, and then the VHS didn't come out until October of
Yeah, like
2020
they took
2000.
the big guys that had legs that could
Yeah.
stay in a theater for a year. They didn't rush those ones out, but they did. But yeah, it's almost kneecapping yourself
Mm. It's like a
because
panic response. It's like, oh shit, no, we gotta
I
get
feel
some
like the fall guy is like I feel like one the blockbuster release schedule, quote unquote, of like the summer blockbuster. And this is just me personally. Like, how
mm,
are we not doing this in like the winter? Like, how are we like January to March is usually like a dead period. Like,
mm.
and now you have this April to September where you drop your big boys. Well, if you're taking a risk on a franchise like a Fall Guy, like don't stack it up in the same month as Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and Furiosa. Like, bad decision. A little bit of
Well,
Mission
also
Impossible. But if
it's a
that
bit of
was
budget control. Uh
well, budget controls one. Release it in March.
yeah,
Drop that movie in March, and you might get your because it's the big guy of the month.
yeah.
Like I feel like that's what a lot of the like to quote Marvel, right? they would put like a movie like Deadpool, they would release that in the first one they released in like February, and it like was the highest grossing
Cleaned
R-rated
up.
movie
Yeah.
ever, because it's like a time when people are generally inside anyway, probably looking for a reason to leave their house. So it's like, okay, like let's go to the movies, it's cold out, like
Mhm.
we're just getting in the car, we're going to the theater, we're gonna popcorn. We don't go to the movies that often. I feel like Fall Guy would have done well in that window. I feel like this was a miscalculation of timing. I
Yeah.
feel like taking, when you have a more riskier project, giving it a window where it can shine by itself versus putting it up against other summer blockbusters is a bad idea.
Well, like I think one way that, I mean, we're doing armchair like box office release, but like, if they release this right after the Oscars, right after Ryan Gosling had that whole moment
Yeah, the
of
Barbie thing, like time it out with that. Like,
would have been great. And like I think that this movie, I mean, like you saw it, do you think this movie was great because of its budget, or do you think this could have been done for like 70 million?
for 70 million, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't, because like they had Aaron Taylor Johnson in it, and he's in the movie for, like, he's good in it, but he's in the movie for 5 minutes. Like, I don't know. That's feel like Fall Guys feels like a movie where, you know how there's movies like, I feel like in a movie like Oppenheimer, for example,
Mm.
where all like you have Robert Downey Jr., Cillian Murphy, Rami Malek, blah, 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 blah. All these guys who just want to work with Christopher Nolan. Pay me $1. I don't care.
Yeah.
Fall Guy is not that movie. You know, Fall Guy doesn't have that reputation
David
behind
Leitch,
it.
the guy who directed Deadpool 2 and like
Yeah,
the
David
action
Leitch
scenes
is,
in John Wick.
yeah. He's not people aren't clamoring hand over fist for that. So you would need, I feel like it came from like star concession. If I had to
Mm.
guess why it would, like, where a lot of the money, like they had Aaron Taylor Johnson in the movie for 10 minutes, and he was good, but like he probably, he's $3 million. Okay, cut a corner there. Hey, Jason Momoa make a cameo. Like, you think Jason Momoa is doing that one for free? Probably not. There's like little things where I can see in that window. I think it's just like the way you approach the marketing. I feel like it was just poorly marketed. Like,
That too. And nothing seemed like it seemed like a mediocre like rom-com action comedy. For,
yeah, you're pretty much right on the money there with the mediocre action comedy. Like, Gosling
yeah.
and Blunt are great, and this is a movie that probably would have done well in 2008. But I
Yeah.
feel like the budgets just get out of control on these movies, and that's what happens.
Mm.
But I know we've seen a bunch of other movies in the time, but we have run out of time on that segment. Let's talk about the Planet of the Apes.
It's a madhouse! A madhouse! Charlton Heston discovers a world turned upside down. The world he finds out in the galaxy will challenge every idea you've ever had of civilization. A planet where the superior beings are apes. They build the cities, make the laws, the gods, and control the guns that hunt a race of lowly, terrified humans who run wild in the jungles, are caged in the prisons, and stuffed in the museums. 20th Century Fox transforms the motion picture screen into Planet of the Apes, starring Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall, Kim Hunter, and Maurice Evans. Planet of the Apes, beyond your wildest dreams.
So that's a little longer than I usually like for our TV spots, but I'll make an exception for our very vintage films, because
Yeah.
that was a VHS camcorder of that. Who I don't know
You take
how
what
they,
you can get.
I take what I can get there, and I think it's also kind of interesting to listen to how they would like market movies back
They
then.
market it like a horror movie, essentially, like a movie your mom would hate.
Yeah, she doesn't like this movie, so there you go.
Yeah.
Well, so the interesting thing I think with Planet of the Apes is what it did for the science fiction film in broad popular culture, because before that they made B movies, and they made them so that people would make out in movie theaters to them. Like that was like their sole purpose.
Yeah, like
They were
Forbidden
your
Planet.
Plan 9 from outer space. Like they were just, it was kind of, you had your prestige movies, like your westerns, your adventure, and your dramas and romances, and then sci-fi horror was this like subcategory. It was usually categorized into its B movie class. And getting an actor like Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur, Ten Commandments, Academy Award winning, like very prestigious, like true movie star, You didn't you didn't this guy usually doesn't sign on to Planet of the Apes. Um, but
Yeah.
he liked the script, he liked the book, and he was a big reason why this movie got greenlit. And I think it's like an appropriate place to start our conversation about the Planet of the Apes because the movie does revolve around him. And I mean, I could
Mm.
pull the the sound plug on the best who's the star of the movie? It's Charlton Heston,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
naturally. And he's just so like verbose and so there. So for me, this was coming in like essentially blind. Like I'd seen it before. I knew a couple of the beats. I knew the main monkey looked like. Tommy, for you, coming in pretty much blind except for the twist at the end because that's been ripped off 100 times.
Yeah.
Like, what was your perception of the first 15 minutes of this movie, 15, 20 of this movie before we see any of the apes?
Yeah, so I was kind of like struck at first that this movie, the first like 30 minutes, I timed it out. I paused the movie right when the apes showed up, and that's 30 minutes into the movie. I was shocked that it took that long to get into this. I thought that this would have been immediately into it, and the first 30 minutes felt like a character drama between the three astronauts, just
Mhm.
talking things out. Charlton Heston just being way too much of a dick to that other astronaut, Landon, for no
Yeah.
reason. But like just like him showing up about how he's just like cold, he doesn't really care about humans and stuff like that. And I just thought that it was just striking. I didn't expect the cinematography of this movie to be so great. I thought this movie would have all been shot on cheap sets. And
No,
I
it was
mean,
shot in Utah or somewhere. It was
yeah,
shot out in the desert.
yeah,
And I feel like part of that too. And for me on this watch, knowing the ending, I tried to just go into it with the mindset of an audience in 1968. I'm watching this movie from that perspective. So I have no idea that this twist is coming. I know it's coming, but like let's just pretend. So you take this half an hour of these guys like on this planet,
Mm.
like damn, this really might not be Earth. And then your first interaction with humans, well, they're not. They're certainly not humans like you and I, Tommy.
yeah. And you're like,
They're
wait, what's going on?
yeah.
And one thing when you especially bring it back into like the form of 1960s, I feel like they didn't film that part of America as much as they do nowadays. Where like nowadays
Mhm.
we can use the
Def
scene or modern lens, like, oh yeah, this is like San Fernando Valley, wherever it was filmed in. We've seen this kind of location all the time, whereas then it kind of looked more alien, just more filmed in the desert and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
Arizona.
yeah, so it brought a little bit more of just like a otherworldly vibe to it, where it's just like, what is going on here? And in some ways, it does seem kind of obvious, like, okay, yeah, maybe this is obviously Earth or something like that. But I do like the fact that they took the minute to just slow down and let us know the three characters, and then they kill off essentially two of the characters that we've been spending all this time with in the first 30 minutes. And it's like, wait, what? That's a big
Yeah.
twist right there. And even then, I was shocked that Charlton Heston got shot in the throat. I was like, wait, did Charlton Heston like is he a clone in the rest of the movie? Like, what's going on here? Like, that threw me off too and threw me through the loop.
Yeah, no,
um,
like I completely forgot the scene, and like that's when I like truly noticed Charlton Heston's star power when he's dealing with psychiatrist and they're talking and Dr. Zyra, Kim Hunter, and she's like enamored with him. Like she can just tell he came in with different clothes, and he's like actually finding a way to communicate what he wants from her versus the other side of things. Where the humans that are there essentially just cannot speak, cannot
they're
think.
cavemen. They're like very primitive
Yes,
cavemen.
very primitive. Um, and I think we learn in one of these many sequels to this movie is that it was a virus that was at the top of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but I'm sure
That was
that
in
was
Rise, yeah. Well,
yeah.
Rise is a different
I'm
continuity, but whatever.
yeah. What yeah.
Whatever, franchise things. But no, one thing that also that I thought was great was just like how much this movie felt like a living nightmare of like the chase scene where Charlton Heston escapes and he keeps on running in and he runs into that one little thing where it seems like a funeral is going on and like one little kid says, "Hey, this is a human right here," and then him running away and how surreal. And I think this is where the ape costumes really make sense. This movie was groundbreaking in terms of its costume and makeups, which is I believe it didn't win the Oscar, which is insane because what movie would have fucking like been better in this in terms of like its overall um costume and makeup.
No, definitely like the costume and makeups is won the Academy Award in 1969. I'm looking at a picture here of Kim Hunter going through extensive makeup and smoking a cigarette through the mask. And she's
So
got like
actually, the best costume design, what beat it out was a movie I actually have seen before too. The Romeo and Juliet movie from the 60s that they showed us all in English class.
oh yeah, I definitely have seen that too.
Which is
But
good, but still not to the same extent right here. Was crazy when you think about like how, I mean, it's probably so much better for actors now that we do motion capture and stuff like that, how much easier it is. Because like the ape actors in this movie were required to wear their masks even during breaks and in between shots because it took so much time to make them up. And because of this, the meals were liquefied and had to be drunk through straws. This movie was filmed in like Arizona heat. And you can imagine wearing all that fucking heavy ass makeup was just torture for them.
filming began in May 21st, 1967. Now, you and I are not uh, we're not meteorologists, but we have a general sense of when summer's coming around.
Yeah.
And we are aware that Arizona is that dry heat. So you're looking at days in the hundreds,
Yeah.
in the pounding sun, like no rainfall at all. Like
Yeah, this
brutal.
is like filmed near the Grand Canyon and shit like that. And like there's a reason why the sequels apparently of like the initial series were filmed not anywhere close to the heat. They learned the lesson very quickly.
They learned their lesson, but it great art can come through adversary situations, and you can definitely feel that in this movie. Like it just does feel so real to have a movie shot on location, to be like, mimic back what I said about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. They shot a lot of it in actual jungle settings, and it feels like an actual movie. It blends that effect so well, and when you start doing it all on sets, it doesn't work. Like when they're in the jail set, for example, right? Like that felt like straight out of a TV series from the 1950s. Like
Yeah, that
felt,
aged a little bit well. But even then, I thought the set design was a little interesting. I mean, one thing I wrote down was how Flintstones it felt.
yes, it
Yeah.
definitely felt very
Yeah, and I looked
Flintstones.
up on IMDb that like apparently like Flintstones was one of the inspirations for the set designs. Apparently, this film was originally written. The original script was written by Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone fame, and you definitely get those vibes throughout. And his original draft was very futuristic, right? The Ape Society was like very high tech and stuff like that, and they realized budget wise this isn't going to work, so let's make it a little more primitive. Rod Serling wrote like 40 different drafts just to make this movie work. And eventually got rewritten by Michael Wilson, who ended up just like rewriting the whole script or anything like that. But there's still some like overall beats, and the twist was kept from Rod Serling's version. And you can feel this like overall as like a extended Twilight Zone episode. I mean that as a compliment, especially the first 30 minutes. So that feels like something that'll be straight up a Twilight Zone of these three astronauts being like, oh, so why'd you decide to sign up on this mission where everyone you know is dead and everything you knew are long gone and forgotten? That feels like something you'd see in a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, no, that's it's definitely has that Twilight Zone like horror element to it, right? It definitely feels that way.
And this is the screenwriter playing the Apes. Want to guess what the other one was?
What?
He did uncredited rewrites on It's a Wonderful Life.
Really?
Yeah. So that's really right there. I think that the character relationships in all this movie, just like when we covered in It's a Wonderful Life, are very rich in detail, even between the apes themselves, as corny as it can be.
And this movie, one of my favorite podcast series I've ever listened to is You Must Remember This, the Karina Longworth podcast, and she has a great series on Charles Manson's Hollywood. And the first episode is just about setting what LA was like at this time. And this is when the OG studio system is dying out, and you're about to get the corporations come in and buy these movie studios. So that's 1968. You're right on the precipice there. And I don't think she mentions this movie. She mentioned more like Thelma and Louise and Easy Rider, those kind of movies. that were appealing to audiences versus like
You
the
mean Bonnie and
studios.
Clyde?
Bonnie and Clyde. Thelma and Louise is the later one, and then but you know the studio systems pumping out like Doctor Doolittle, like the original Doctor Doolittle, like just family movies, very safe, very predictable,
Yeah.
and it wasn't shifting towards that young audience. I feel like this movie is like a stalwart of like atheism, like which would be way before, like when religion was very predominant in that time in our culture. It still is, but not to the extent it was back then. Like this is a popular form of media that is questioning like the written scripts, Ten Commandments, and kind of paralleling it back and forth, which I also found to be very interesting in this kind of way of like bringing those questions up, setting them in the future, and have monkeys presenting these questions like you can get away with it, versus today you couldn't get away with it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like, I think that they treat the audience with respect. This could have easily been extremely hokey and shitty in a way that I feel like the later sequels have been known to be, of just like, wherever we cut the budget, it's a Planet of the Apes movie, fuck it. Whereas this movie just like took its time and it treated its audience with patience in a way that I felt was very rewarding. I think that the Jerry Goldsmith score also does some like very heavy lifting in the beginning too. It just brings you in a moment where it's just like very ominous. And hearing that on my sound system last night was incredible. I mean, Jerry Goldsmith obviously is one of the greatest fucking composers that we've had in filmography, and that's why this just worked.
Yeah, 100%. So I think, the other part of it is, and like what the core central plot of it is, these apes view humans as animals because they're essentially cavemen.
Yeah.
Charlton Heston is the first one of them that they've ever seen that's able to speak, or so they thought, because it's from Dr. Zaius, who's kind of the main antagonist. I wouldn't call him a villain. I would call him more of an antagonist, and I think he's an excellent antagonist in this, where he's very core rooted in his beliefs. We find out at the end of the film that he knew that men could talk and like what it was, but he's the minister of science and the minister of the faith. So he's protecting both lines of it. So he's not letting science go into further archaeological digs to find evidence that man might have been there beforehand, which is where the climax of the movie ends up. One of the other things I want to say is bless Charlton Heston for dealing with like the brutality on that set, because like the way the apes like tied them up as prisoners, it was just having like something tied around his neck and just carried by a pole and just like forced around the movie set.
Well, apparently he was also like sick of the flu for the majority of this movie, and that the producers were like, his hoarse voice added something to the character of Taylor. So when he's like filming the scene where like Taylor and Nova are forcibly separated, he said that he was feeling like hell because of his illness. And he said it felt worse every single damn time that fire hose hit me. Can you imagine that sound like today where it's just like, oh, I'm feeling really sick with the flu. Like, fuck it, we're gonna spray you down with a hose. So this Charlton Heston, I mean, he was game for it, but it's also probably the 1960s of like not really caring that much about the safety of their actors as much.
No safety coordinator in those credits, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this movie just doesn't get made without Charlton Heston. He was, this was a big risk for 20th century Fox, and they needed something to go right for them, and basically they were kind of backed into a position of needing to take that risk, right? Like financially the studio was in a really bad place, hence the lower budget, right? You said you wanted this to be more futuristic. The apes are more settled, like in the original drafts, and they're just like, oh, that is not in the budget. We can do primitive sci-fi. We can't do advanced sci-fi here.
Yeah.
we're not
they had to be convinced in order to do this movie in general, because they thought that like, oh, the whole like versions of the ape makeup were going to be like really shitty. So they had to film like a early version, like a test scene of Charlton Heston as like Taylor, speaking to two unknown Fox actors, James Brolin and Linda Harrison, that play like Cornelius and Zelia as these little test scenes just to show, hey, this can actually work as a filmography, as a film. Because people were thinking like at first when they were bringing this movie around, like, oh, a movie about talking apes, get the fuck out of here. This sounds awful. This movie, the producer Arthur Jacobs bought the rights for this novel. This is originally based on a novel by Pierre Boileau.
It's a
He
French
bought the
novel.
rights. Yeah, it's a French novel, and it was they bought the rights for it before it was even published in 1963. And they're just like, oh, whatever, Planet of the Apes, that sounds like a good idea. Whatever. Let's go for it.
That's got something. That's got some legs to it. But
Yeah.
I think the interesting part of Charles Heston was he tried to basically stage a war for a sequel. Because as I mentioned, 20th Century Fox was in a precarious financial situation. And it was because of his relationship with Abrahams that he even did one scene in the sequel. I started watching Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I didn't make it far into it because you could just tell it's cheaper, and it was something that was just favored around special effects sequences, which don't age well if you weren't aware. Although I do feel like the main action sequence in this, which was the chase through the town, like I feel like it aged pretty well because it was all shot pretty realistically. Like it,
Yeah,
you know,
it was all shot
on
realistically.
that set.
And the cinematography was great in that stuff too. So I mean, I think that overall worked. And then I mean, how do you feel about the makeup? Do you think the makeup is just like, this is a little hokey, or
No, I think it works. I think it works so well. I think it camouflages I feel like it camouflages the twist at the end there that you are indeed on planet Earth. You did make it home, but your species is essentially extinct as you know it. Which which also brings up the other part. You're in the middle of the Cold War. You had the Red Scare of the 1950s. All right, like threat of nuclear war surrounds you in this time, and kind of being like, hey, they actually did it. They blew themselves up, and it sets itself in that post-apocalyptic. We're having a real post-apocalyptic month, huh?
Yeah, seriously.
Mad Max, Planet of the Apes, like we're really getting after it.
We're getting there. Yeah. What a coincidence! New ones are coming out both this month, or came out this month.
Absolutely.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
All right, Tommy. Kind of touched on this, but who's the star of this movie?
Charlton Heston, obviously. I mean, he carries so much of this movie on his weight. I think that him in the beginning initial portion is the most interesting of the three astronauts. I mean, no wonder he's the one that survives. I think that he just brings a good through line of this movie, of this guy out of time, and he's our audience surrogate. He's the point of view. And I think that he has like so many great little like lines or like motivations, how he loves Nova for some reason, for no other reason.
She's the only
she's
the only
she's a hot girl.
She's the only
Yeah, exactly.
girl.
Strictly. I think the whole character of Nova is hilarious. So, like, first of all, one of my notes was like, Nova looks way too much like a modern 1960s woman.
Versus everybody else looking like caveman, but they had to make one.
Yeah.
Hey, I respect them for at least being like, yeah, we want a little sex appeal in this movie, you know.
Yeah. Apparently, in the original script,
not too much cleavage, just a little.
Yeah. Apparently, in the original script, like the women, native humans, were going to be all bare breasted, and Fox was like, no, we're not fucking doing that.
We need a PG. We need a PG movie.
Yeah, exactly. And Linda Harrison apparently was having an affair with one of the producers at the time of production. Those things are just like, all right. I mean, I think Nova was okay, but it's such a weird plot device of him being like, I like this one. Why? She's hot. That's why.
It was strictly there for some TNA, man. That's
exactly.
That's all it was.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, it's like he's breaking down at the Statue of Liberty, and she's just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah, I have no clue what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
But I feel like the apes themselves. Maurice Evans as Dr. Zayas, Roddy McDowell, Kim Hunter, like they were all excellent. Like it was terrific.
Ryan McDowell. What's really funny is that Ryan McDowell and Kim Hunter apparently like went to zoos to study apes, and that feels so crazy in a way where it's like I don't see apes from this movie. It'd be one thing if you told me like, yeah, the actors like Andy Serkis or whatever, they did something like that similar. They studied apes. It's like, yeah, because they feel like apes in those movies. Whereas this, it's like, what did Ryan McDowell pick up from studying apes in a zoo when he did this movie?
Yeah, 100%.
But he's good. I mean, I've seen him in like other movies like Fright Night before. It's good seeing him in this, and this is one of his like signature roles. He's in about all the sequels, I think, except for the second one of the original series. And I think that he was just a great little motivation or a little one friendly ape, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But it's terrific performances all around. I feel like a lot of credit does just go to the makeup team. Like that's what carries the performance itself. Is that it doesn't suspend your notion of disbelief, which I feel like could come if the costumes were done just a little more poorly, especially in maybe it would have gotten away with it in the 60s, but the movie itself would not age
Yeah.
as well.
We don't need to touch upon this much, but I was shocked to see Charlton Heston, the other astronaut's fucking ass in this movie.
And yeah, I know there's just some dude sex appeal, man.
Yeah, and I feel like he hangs some dong at one point. I was like, "What? This movie's rated G? Are you kidding me?"
He was tucking. He was definitely tucking. Yeah. He was tucking. But like they don't use the little how now they use like the little safety thongs where it's like on the set no, they were hanging dong, man. Like they were just
60s were a different time.
They were flopping. Hey, free love, man. They were just flopping out.
Yeah.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
So Tommy, Planet of the movie's called Planet of the Puppets.
Yeah, Planet of the Muppets. Yeah,
that's no, not Planet of the Muppets. It's called Planet of the Puppets because they come back to Earth on a planet that is now like the puppets have arisen and they've become Muppets. But you call it Planet of the Puppets to protect the twist at the end that you're actually on planet Earth.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, this movie immediately worked like that. I feel like there's not that much of a through. There's a big through line between this and the Muppets, where like you could easily just make it all just like Muppet apes or something like that.
Muppet puppet. You just make puppets. You just make Kermit look a little more like a monkey than a frog.
Yeah, when you look at some of the later sequels or even like the Tim Burton ones, I mean, they practically look like fucking puppets at that point. So I mean, like you keep Charlton Heston, get your hands off me, you damn dirty Muppet.
Get your
No,
you call him a puppet. That's a slur on this planet.
Well, Kermit obviously is Dr. Cornelius. Piggy's Dr. Zira. Dr. Zayas is Sam the Eagle.
Yeah, I like it. Cast done. Boom. Put it to print. Disney. Hire me. All right. Yeah. Tommy, review time. Give me a score out of 5.
So I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I ended up actually really loving it. I think that the first 30 minutes of having this be like a character drama Twilight Zone type little introduction was great. I think the special effects have hold up in a way that's very charming of its time, and I think the overall through line of the cinematography, the fact it's shot on location, even like the cheap sets look really charming and really add to it. And for a movie where the majority of all I knew before going in was the twist and the Simpsons Dr. Zayas musical, Dr. Zayas, amazing. This was incredible. I love this movie. I'm gonna go, I think 4.5 out of 5. I think this is a great watch, and I am all about the apes now. I'm gonna watch the sequels, even though they're probably shitty.
Well, if there's anything a horror fan is used to, it's shitty sequels.
Exactly.
You're primed and ready for them. I'm gonna go 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this movie. I think this is a great movie. I think it's a movie that'll stand the test of time. It's not quite a masterpiece, but it just does everything right. It hits all of its points. This is as good of a movie as this could have possibly been in 1968, and probably like outside of like the 70s. Like I don't think they could have done this better because like they would have fucked it up somehow in the story. So 4 out of 5 for me. Great cinematography, really solid direction by by Franklin Schaffner, who we haven't mentioned, but he did a wonderful job there. He's not exactly the prolific director that we cover sometimes here on the podcast, but really truly great work. I can see why they've spawned like 100 sequels from this one movie. So yeah, even though it goes against everything this single standalone movie stands for, but I understand why on the studio end they decided to do it. So 4 to 5 for me. Planet of the Apes. Go see it. It is. Oh, actually, nitpick. I got a nitpick because I didn't realize it was on Hulu until it was too late. It was on Amazon. Trying to find it, I type it in. It says available with stars. I'm like, great, my parents have stars. Let me use my parents' cable login. So I logged into it. No, this one was locked. I had to pay for an additional tier.
Really
for
got
stars.
you right there.
For stars. Are you star? I didn't
too
even know
much.
star. I didn't even know stars was a thing still.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what the fuck?
Sorry, that was
ridiculous.
me. I like completely forgot until I got to that moment. Stars, fix your business model, man. We don't even know you exist. All right, Tommy. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
I can't wait for all the comments of people being like, actually, the Planet of the Apes sequels are amazing. And what the fuck are you talking about?
Nerds.
So yeah, exactly. We'll get there. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on social media. That's at CNETPod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And very occasionally a thread. Very occasionally. And leave us a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Really helps us out, helps us grow the show. Timmy hates I brought up threads. And next month, we're getting up some bangers. Timmy, I'm going to pitch this right now. Chinatown is celebrating its 50th anniversary. I've never seen it.
Love Chinatown. Let's do Chinatown. We're gonna do a Lord of the Rings because they're coming back in theaters, and that'll actually get your ass to see it. And we'll figure out the third one along the way. So thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next time.